On second thought, episode 301, brought to you by Hook'em.com, our good friends at Bud Light. Cedric Golden here with the Duck Kirk Bohls. Duck, the school year is over. Texas finished out with a final eight finish, or no, final 16 finish. Should have been final eight. We had to bring in Chris Del Conte to tell us what went down at Stanford and to review another successful school year for the Longhorns, number 2 in the Learfield Division I rankings. CDC, first of all, how's it going? Second of all, we weren't in Palo Alto. Give us an idea of your feelings after that. That was the most brutal ending to a baseball season that I have ever seen.
Well, and I think that I think Kurt and I had this discussion a couple of weeks ago about just baseball culture. It's one of those teams that just has it for its history, and every single time you count them out, they just find a way to come back in. That game, the end of that game was emblematic of the entire season, because there's ups and downs of the entire season where we lost everyone from a year ago. They say it's a rebuilding year. What our expectations were. You start at the beginning of the year. We went to that classic in Dallas, and it was 1, 2, 3 barbecue. All that pressure is coming back on the team. They scheduled right, got their momentum going, clawed back their way into being a conference champion. And then we go 1, 2 barbecue in the Big 12 tournament. And then we win the regional, get to a super regional. And at the end of that game, to lose the game and how we fought back and clawed back on a fly ball that no one saw. What's like crazy about it, that the same thing happened the week before with A&M against Stanford.
Yeah.
So with the twilight and the way the sunken diamond is, it's a pop-up. Our pitcher just points up, can of corn. He's going to the dugout, and we are ready. And to see all three of our outfielders just kind of like, where is the ball? And it's you know what it is? It's baseball.
It's life.
It's baseball.
Have you ever had? How many years have you been an AD, Chris?
My first AD job was 2006. So what does that tell you? I was
17, 18
years old. Yeah.
I was curious if there's been a more excruciating finish to a season, like the last event. It's like dropping the baton and the track relay at the end of the event. So I mean, I don't remember a more painful finish than that one.
You can look at that. No, just because of how. You know what I mean? I've seen some guys miss a buzzer beater shot that was in and out, but that you had this game, but not the idea of a routine play like that. You know what I mean?
It's kind of like, you remember the Kansas State basketball? Remember?
Yeah.
The point guard didn't get the shot off. Remember, he passed up the ball and they didn't get a shot off. I mean, that's just excruciating.
I'm telling you guys, I would have rather they walked it off the hitter before that almost took the fence. There's some dignity in losing in a walk-off home run. Your best against their best.
Well, and I tell you, but it's baseball, and you think about that particular player made that incredible throw earlier to third base.
Dylan Campbell's the best right fielder in college baseball,
without question. So when I look at that, it's the way it happened. I think for us, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. But for a player, right? If you play it's like, hey man, I just couldn't see it. Yeah, it's one of those things that you're never going to explain, but it's explainable. And I look at everyone's baseball. Those kids are so resilient. And what's been great about, and I think Kurt was talking about that particular program's culture. It's just interesting to see the ebb and flow. It's the ethos of that team never panics.
Nope.
And it was such a reward to see that. And at the end, was it crushing? Yes. But to listen to their interviews, it was remarkable, because I was sad for them, hurt for them, but the way their interviews were like, all right, man, they're a class bunch. They got it.
They're men.
One kid said, God, it's just baseball. It's a freak situation. And I would rather sometimes lose a game like that than a walk-off bomb where you're like, no, that pitcher, or there's never a good situation to lose a game, period. Let's just be candid. But in baseball, that's probably the most excruciating loss I've been a part of. Just because,
like nobody's fault. Nope. And because you lose that, you're going to finish second, in the Directors Cup after winning back-to-back titles.
Yeah.
And how painful that is.
Well, what's crazy about that is you can sit there and say, so then this is what you end up doing. We had our head coaches meeting the other day, and we're talking about what ifs. Our rowing team, rolling. They got hit by a bunch of geese. They're picked to win the rowing national championship. They win, put a nail in the coffin. It's a done deal. What happens? There's 10 boats in the water, and the only flock of geese from Canada smashes our boat. We take fourth. We win. It's over. So you got a drop ball, a ball we then see. You got geese you can't find anywhere else in the lake besides our lane. I mean, so many little things. And the thing about it is this year was actually more successful than last year in this regard. Every single one of our teams was in postseason play. The only school in America that had every single team in postseason play. The year before, we did not.
That's amazing.
Yet we won the Directors Cup back-to-back years. So this year on paper was spectacular. Had so many teams finish in the top 10, top 5, competed their tails off. And you look at it and go, well, it came down to a geese. It came down to a lost ball. It came down to things that you're just like, how is this? We have our head coaches retreat next week, and it's talk about going into last year in the Big 12 and embracing the hate. You know, we go in and know that this is going to be a real tough year for our coaches, tough year for our students and our fan base, because we know that we're not going to be loved.
No walk in the park.
Embrace who we are.
Do you really expect it to be rougher than usual? I mean, the horse down thing
is a little bit different because the visceral today of social media. Our kids feel it. They feel they go to not any more than normal. But I think it's because it's ever present that we're moving somewhere. So it's one thing, but when you're moving and you're the cause of the move, it is what it is. So,
and I know everybody hates Texas. I didn't know geese hate Texas. So I guess it is universal, I guess. So
hey, Kurt, I got to show it to you. It's like a butterball coming out of the sky, smashing our rowers.
There's video of that. Is there video?
Picture. Oh yeah, it's video. I got it. Where'd you see this? Only lane. I mean, we win that. We win the Directors Cup. You know what I mean? Our men's, women's tennis teams had years. You know, baseball, softball. Everyone did what they're supposed to do. Vic had a chance to get to the Elite Eight. He went to the Sweet 16. Football went to a bowl game. Had a great year. Not the year of our expectations everyone wants, but they're making progress. Everyone's doing what they're supposed to be doing, and yet it came down to a flying geese and a lost ball.
And shout out to Jared Elliott, national championship. Edric Florio brought the men in natty with a natty.
Ooh, I mean, arguably, I think Kurt and I were talking about this. Arguably, two of the best teams in the history of their sports. You know, you can argue volleyball. They lost one game. I mean, there's unbelievable what they did all year. And then Flo on that team. I mean, I don't know if you guys went out to the track meet, but it was unbelievable. They put on a performance.
And you felt happy for Flo too. You know, getting that first outdoor title here in Texas.
Those women. Wow.
Julian Alfred, what a studette she is. Oh, my goodness. I know Sid and I both had her on our Mount Rushmore, you know, up there with Kat and Clarissa and, you know, Logan.
Logan Eggleston,
yeah, sure. Special times. But now you got to fix football. Is football fixed yet? Are you going to go to a bowl game? You're going to win the bowl game? How good are you going to be?
Well,
I'll take your glasses off. He almost took his glasses off.
I'm about ready to fix them. Just get on old Kurt's butt here. I mean, you know, Kurt, like, you know what? I think you just see like anything else. And, you know, there's the hope is not a strategy. I do like the way he's going about it. I do like the way he's going about recruiting. I like the way how he built out his staff. Steve is not at all afraid to bring in great people to say, let's look at things a little bit different. You look at Paul Chris coming this year, Gary coming last year, you start to see how he's building out his recruiting. And it was always the goal to compete for a national championship, always the goal for the league that we're going to go into. If you guys both recall, and I know both of you don't want to hear this, but I keep repeating this. When Steve took over that first year, we had 54 kids on scholarship. We had just went through the eyes of Texas. We just went through civil unrest. We had wide receivers playing DB. We had tight ends playing linebacker. It was crazy how we try to do that. And yet you see what happened in year 2 and in year 3 of the system. I feel like every year we're making progress. And I'm excited about the last year in the Big 12. I think our last year in the Southwestern Conference, we won it. And the first year in the Big 12, we won it. And hopefully we have a chance to go compete this year as well and compete for a championship. That's all you can ask for.
We should have the best team.
You guys were out in Destin soaking up the sun, and saw you both on Paul Feinbaum, just, beautiful beaches and stuff. And CDC, your interview I thought was particularly interesting because he asked you about the SEC and getting ready to make that move in 2024. You and Castiglione, what have your conversations been like with the other SEC athletic directors on what you can expect when you go over to that minefield of a football conference?
Well, let's just back up to Destin for a moment. It was great. We sat in a room from 8 to 5. It was like putting a kid in a candy store and say you can't eat the candy, but you can look at it all day.
You're on the beach during that interview.
I decided I'm going to wear shorts to kind of protest the fact that I'm in a room all day when there's beach right there. And what does Kirk do? Just blast me on the shorts. But from 8 to 5, I sat there and looked at the Atlantic Ocean or whatever that is, the Gulf of Mexico, and go, God, it's beautiful out there. Yet we cannot go outside for 4 straight days. So it was fantastic meetings, but Kirk out there got a crispy tan because he had all day to just rotate the back and forth, the rest of us in the room. Right. But back to the Southeastern Conference, I know all those athletic directors for a long, long time. Majority of them, 3 or 4 of them are some of my best friends. So when I look at the meetings are nothing unusual. We've been going to those meetings for the last year. So it was nothing. It was just the first time that the media was there. So I've known, this is like, we started attending SEC meetings a year and a half ago.
Right. So
it was nothing unusual. And our preparedness is we had to be prepared to compete in that league. If you look at how many teams from the SEC are in the baseball, in the College World Series, how many of those SEC teams were in Oklahoma City? That league is so deep. So it's not only football. Across the board, it's a really deep league, and we're just excited about that opportunity. But as we tell our coaches, we have 1 year left in Big 12. And this year we won 12 Big 12 championships. Next closest was 6. Next closest was 6. We won 12. So last year we won 13. Our goal is to win every single conference championship we play in, and then go and win every single national championship we play. That's the goal. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but that's the goal. So if we strive to do that, then when you go in a year from now, we go in the SEC, we'll be ready. But Steve came in with a game plan of here's what we need to have body structure wise. Here's how we need to recruit and restructure our team for that. And on paper, this is his best team he's had since he's been here, and I'm excited for him.
Well, let's address that. As we're taping this, the reveal show will be on later tonight on the SEC Network. You find out who you play. And I know you don't back down from a scrap, so I'm sure you want to play Oklahoma, A&M, Alabama, LSU, and Georgia. You want to play just the best teams in the SEC, right?
Oh, yeah, let's just start there's a welcome to the SEC. Boom. Just play them all. LSU at night, Auburn at night there, everybody great. You know what's exciting about this tonight? One is that it's a great reveal. 2 is just going to be who we get a chance to play, and you play them anytime, any place, anywhere. It's good food for fodder of what is happening, but that's a year from now.
Yeah,
and that's one of the things we're looking at. We got to embrace this coming year in terms of the year we're in. So all this hoopla is really for 24, which in college athletics could be 20 years. That's a long ways away. But I'm excited for that, and whoever we get to play, it'll be fun.
But you should play 9 games. It's very cowardly of the SEC.
Hold on. No, it's not cowardly, Kirk.
Yes, it is. It just means more.
I love you. You've lost your dang mind.
It just means more.
Hold on. We want 9 games. I think majority of people want 9 games, right? Here's the issue. We also came in a year early.
Right, I know.
So when you came a year early, we were supposed to go in 25. A lot of teams are playing on the back end of a home and home.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to remember that they're playing on back end of home. You got to go add another game plus find it and plus wait, I got to go on. I already have my schedule. I don't want to drop them. It's a back end of a home and home. So it doesn't make sense. And then you're restructuring how you do the one AA games late in the year. It takes time. So we came out with a 1-year schedule. I want to be clear here, boys. 1 year, 24. 24 is not predicated on 25, 26, 27, 20. It's just 24. And that's what it is. We came and said, time out. We got to do this for 24. Not more than 2 seconds later, you had the Gatling gun blowing holes in that like it was a champ. But remember, it's only 1 year, Kirk.
I think Greg Sankey wanted 9. I think he was disappointed. And let me point this out. It is 1 year, but that doesn't mean it can be 8 league games in 25. And they're going to vote on that before you're a voting member again. I think that's unfair.
Well, yeah.
Remember. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. At the end of the day, all we're saying is that it's a 1 year issue. I'm fine with it. We wanted 9 games. If we had not come in a year early, it would have been a little bit different conversation just because of who's playing on the back end of games and who can get games. We were very fortunate in a short window. We were able to find a team that we're going to play in 24, plugged it in. But remember, football scheduling is so far out. We've never played a 1AA team. We're not about to. We're always going to play either group of 5 or Power 5.
I was going to ask you that.
But we have to go. But everyone's so far out. And, of course, when you're trying to find a game this short in the window, everyone wants a little more do, re, mi. And so it's a delicate negotiation.
Well, I'll say it.
And we took care of it, by the way, Kirk.
Okay.
I will say what you can't say. They should let you and Castiglione, the Don, they should let y'all vote.
They have to.
They should let y'all vote. Y'all are bringing a tremendous amount of money and cachet and championship credibility to that conference, and you should be able to vote on that issue. Even though
we get a chance to have great conversations. We're not a member of that league. So I think there's way more emphasis being put on the vote than there should be. There's a lot of conversations happening, and we are all in there together. Commissioner Sankey is just tremendous. Just his organization, how he involves coaches, presidents, ADs, it's phenomenal. It's just a completely different organizational structure. But we're emphasizing the vote a little too much.
You're saying you have influence, if not
we have good conversations.
I got you. Okay. Hey, I want to switch a little bit to the NIL. You know, a lot of people think NIL is out of control. The IRS in the last few days have said that money raised by collectives is not tax deductible, which could really slow down things a little bit on the NIL, correct?
You know, it's interesting. I understood the concept when NIL was first introduced. I didn't agree with it then. And I will tell you, I don't agree with it today.
No guardrails.
When I signed my scholarship, at the bottom of the letter, it says, because you're getting free education, the institution will use your name, image, and likeness to promote your program for free education. There's $1.9 trillion in student loan debt. And people are asking, let's forgive that loan. I had $58,000 in student loan debt by the time I got done with graduate school. I was married to Sally Mae. I enjoyed paying that debt because I knew it was going to change my life. Couldn't afford without it. But I never mind paying it either. It was my responsibility. Yet we have more loan debt today, and we're asking people to forgive it, and and then we're having more kids that can't afford school, yet we're giving free education. But I understood the fact that kids are now in a different era. So, and that we have to adapt and change. We are very fortunate to be at the University of Texas, where we knew the connections we had, what's coming in, all the tech coming here, everyone's here, that we have a chance to really be a player in NIL for our kids. Bijan's a perfect example. Sam, the track athlete, a perfect example. What we did with our collective, which is we got a long form agreement passed through the IRS, was really about our kids serving our community. So within Forever Texas, we would say, said Golden, you are going to go for, there's some that are just straight sponsorship. They sponsor a car dealer, they tweet, they work with that car dealer, doesn't say Texas on it, they work with them. There's some that are saying, hey, I'm going to go spend hours doing community service, Habitat for Humanity, and there may be a sponsor that sponsors that activity. Mm-hmm. There's all kinds of things. But what's happened now is you have Portal 2 times a year. You don't even know who your roster is. Nefarious behavior comes from all angles. We need right now, we're asking Congress to just sit there and say, help us enforce the rules we have on the books. We can't even enforce the rules we have on the books because litigators and plaintiff attorneys are attacking everything we do. All I'm saying is help us enforce the rules that we have.
Well, what do you think is going to happen? They've said it's got to happen before the next election. So
well, I'm hoping that we just get some guidelines.
Do you think they will?
We can live with.
We need
it.
Everybody's waiting out for it.
We need it, but we need it for the good of the organization. If you go back and look at, okay, how are you going to fund your athletic programs? They talk about there's a bill in California, very interesting what that bill looks like today. You're worried about the Olympic movie. You're worried about Title IX. You're worried about all these things. In the world outside of America, sports are not attached to institutions. They're attached to institutions here. Mm-hmm. The Olympic movement, everything else is either club run or government run, except for the United States. We're also bound by Title IX and opportunities for women, which is the greatest thing that's ever happened. It's college athletics. It's awesome. But we're not pros. There's an educational component to this. Yet there is an economic component to it as well. And I'm not ignorant to agree to that. But what we're doing is we're devaluing one for the other. And because of the rules that we have set in place by the NC2A are being attacked by plaintiff lawyers, and then the judgments coming out of courts are not in our favor. We just need help, the guidelines to help us see the light through the forest a little bit.
What's being discussed? What's being discussed for potential guardrails? Because I don't know if you can put a limit on the.
I don't even put a limit. It's just to help us enforce the rules that we have. Because
where the hell were they at the beginning of this thing?
Yeah, we're correct. I mean, and I don't blame. You know what? I blame ourselves. I blame me. You know why? Because we are the NC2A. Right. Membership makes it up. Yeah. And you know what we do? We break the rules. We know we break the rules, then we fight against our own selves. So we can live to fight another day. Yeah. And you'll look at schools that blatantly break the rules. They will lawyer up, pass those bulls, and all of a sudden they're back living and fighting another day. We'll have coaches that have been suspended for nefarious behavior and get hired somewhere else.
Oh yeah.
Well, what is your level of confidence that Congress will, help?
I have a level of confidence that if you get the right people in the room, if they'll realize that there's an education component to this. That outside of the 2% that go to the pros, we should understand education. We should have healthcare. We should also understand there's NIL components. We got to blend them. Right now, it's just the wild, wild west, and we'll get there. I mean, I'm fine with NIL today. But it's not where it should be about what you earn, like Bijan or like Sam. But these
or Logan.
Excuse me,
or Logan Eggleston
or anybody. But when it happens is when you start reading about nefarious things happen all over the country. Like, man, what is going on? And then you have 2 times at the portal. You have one at the end of the season, and then one. So you have coaches are like, it's open free agency. What are we trying to do? And there's no way to build their rosters. So it's just a chaotic time.
What do you think?
It feels like a runaway locomotive. I mean, that's how it feels. And the coaches are the ones that are left holding the bag, even though they make a lot of money. You're sitting there. I'm sure there are coaches out there literally looking at the portal at the end of the season, just hoping that their guys don't pop up on there.
Well, and this is where you have to have incredible culture and you have to work. But there's kids that say, okay, it's mid-majors. Good mid-major kid has a good year, all of a sudden pops. I mean, there's a kid that transferred from a Power 5 to a Big 12 school that said I had to leave because the economics are better at that other school.
Sure.
You've read all those things. Yeah. And it's such an interesting time. And I think what we're looking for is just a new model. We will get there. But a lot of this stuff gets played out in the media, and a lot of this stuff gets played out in a way that you don't know what's fact or not fact. Kurt will call me or you'll call me and say, I got something. I go, well, and I'll always wonder, how in the hell do they have that when I don't have it? So I know when you 2 boys, the Columbos, are on it, something's up. But a lot of times our coaches will react to something that's a rumor, not really fact. And remember now, each kid can hire an agent. Remember, and those agents can get up to 40% from a marketing contract. So they're going to drive a lot of things for those kids.
Oh, yeah.
And get paid as well.
And put narratives out there.
There's a lot of people on the take on this deal.
But do you think the IRS ruling could slow down all the money?
Anything that can help, it could for sure. I mean, I'm looking at everything we do and say, hey guys, let's make sure that we're always on the up here. Yeah. I mean, when that ruling came out, we go right to compliance, go right to our general counsel, they tell us. And then we have a state rule that just got implemented. And how does that look like?
Mm-hmm.
So for sure.
Well, that's one for me. And I know Kirk's got a couple more. I was interested it's summer now. What's the rest of your summer looking like? The school year's over. There's no more athletic events to go to. What are you going to do? You're going to go to the to the Serengeti and shoot an elephant? What are you going to do?
Well, for sure not going to the Serengeti shoot an elephant. But we have an August board meeting, and we got about 60, 70 million raised so far for our indoor facility. Got to get to 140. So I'm going to be carrying that church basket all over the country to
take Rodney Terry with you.
To carry away. By the way, thank you. Here you go. So we have visits up and down Colorado, Montana, wherever they are at, to see if I can fill the coffers, because my goal is to have 140 million raised by our August board meeting. Because reality is we will the School of Social Work will be this last year they'll be moving to a new location. We'll begin an earnest construction next summer. Tear down that building is very, very old, has a lot of asbestos, so it's not going to be like a bulldozer. They're going to go it's going to take us, the tear down's what's going to take us a long time. It's nothing more. That thing was built like there's just lead and asbestos in that thing everywhere. So we're going to have to tent it, take it down slowly, and then that's going to take us time. But my goal is to have hopefully, if everyone will be amenable to donating money this summer. After this podcast, they may not want me coming to their city, but I'll be busy doing that till August.
Hey, okay. And to steal a line from our favorite movie, Coming to America, you'll take the kind of coin, the money that jingles, but you prefer the kind that folds.
Factual, absolutely, no doubt about it, and some with a lot more zeros. So
a lot of folding,
because we have, like I said, we're almost halfway there. I feel great about where we're at, a little more than halfway, but that's what this summer is going to look like. And then in the fall, right now we're taking down all the lights at DKR, putting in a new lighting system, putting in, and so this time is the time for our staff to catch up. I'll take a little break. My daughter's moving to California to begin her art career in earnest. So we're going to drive the U-Haul out there at some point in time, set her up in a little apartment, and I'll stay there for a couple of days with her. But that's our summer vacation. That's it. No real vacation this summer.
Well, you got 3 minutes left. You told me you're not taking the USC job, and no. I know you don't ever want to leave, but mostly because me and Sid, pestering every day.
Wow.
But, what's the main reason you're staying at Texas, and how long are you going to stay?
Well, I love to finish my career here. That's never guaranteed, but I do love. I think what's interesting to me is who you work for truly matters. I mean, President Hartzell is awesome. And where he's taking this institution, how he's uniting us, the group, has been fantastic to be with. Having Kevin Altife as a chairman of the board. When you're united that way, you can do a lot of great things. You think about every move that we've made, and you always look and say, every major decision, success has 1,000 friends, failure is an orphan. Right. And usually when it fails, it's me standing there. But when it's success, there's a lot of people. Having those two people, having every great decision happen is awesome. Why would you? And a job, whether it be at this level, you go to USC, Ohio State, you can say, look at the blue bloods. It's just geography.
Yeah, it is.
At this point in time, it's just geography. Who you work for matters. And that's the difference. And that's why any job is not appealing to me, because I happen to work for incredible bosses that are great. We have unbelievable coaches. We're just getting this thing rolling. After this project is done, we're going to have everything have been touched completely. You think about, we're getting close to raising $1 billion for athletics. $1 billion for athletics, not anything else.
Wow.
That's how close we are to accomplishing that goal. Some universities raise, our whole campaign is $1 billion. For an athletic department to do that and be able to have a campaign centered around the things that we're doing to improve ourselves, get to the Southeastern Conference, none of those jobs appeal to me. And to me, is why this job is here. And like I said, I'd like to finish my career here. Why not? This is the greatest place in the world. You can do some town is great, but more importantly, your leadership is why you stay.
Yeah. And you can wear pants or shorts. You can do either.
Hey,
Don't do it. Oh my God. Oh my God. Good Lord. That was
I showed you my legs today.
I'm so glad we're not using this video. That was just
awful.
Get back in the gym, CDC.
Get back in the gym. I mean, I'm walking nowadays, but I had both shoulders rotators. I can't do much.
We appreciate you being with us, and
thank you, man.
All right, fellas. You guys be great. Hey, Kirk, love your Destin tan. Be good.